In my opinion, Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday has the best title in the whole series. I'll give it that accolade at least. It's a cool sounding title. It's a better one than Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter. It's probably one of the few ways that Part 9 does beat Part 4 in all honesty. So this was the famous Jason body swapping one. It's why a lot of people don't like it. It was directed by a guy called Adam Marcus, who was only 23 at the time he did this. I find it to be absolutely crazy that somebody so young could have been given the reins on a mainstream Friday the 13th film, and it's a really wacky script. I mean, I don't think there's another film in the series which is as out there as this one, and I include Jason 10 and Freddy versus Jason in that reckoning. I mean, it's not just the fact that Jason spends every 5 minutes in a different meat suit. There's also the magical dagger thing. There are the hell demons that we see. The FBI go after Jason in this film. There's an actual bounty hunter, not just a weekend warrior like Rob. There's also loads of Voorhees relatives living in Crystal Lake now. There's a main character who's like a nerdy guy with glasses. That's not normal. Gives me hope that I may one day be the starring role in a Friday the 13th film. Not likely. Even the paths that the main characters take through this film, it's not the normal structure for a movie. I mean, it's such an original story and a way of doing things within the framework of this series. I've got to give Adam Marcus a lot of credit for what he put into this film. It might not be for everybody, but you'll never see another Friday the 13th film like this again. I mean, even if the series returns with a bang and we get some new films, they won't do another one like this, not with the way the fandom is set up these days and with the advent of the internet. Now, I got a bit of a shock the other night when I sat down to watch it in preparation for this review. This is my copy of the movie. I've had this for almost 20 years now. In fact, I've lived with this DVD longer than I might end up living with my own kids, but to my horror, when I put it on the other night, it didn't fill the full screen on my TV. It was kind of all bunched in. Now, what I think's happened is that over the years, I've been buying gradually bigger and bigger TVs. I've now got a 65-inch one, and I've finally reached a size that is not agreeable with my copy of the film. So it was with great sadness that I turned it off and went on Amazon Prime looking for a more up-to-date version of the film. I found one. I found a really slick-looking HD version. As soon as I put it on, I thought, wow, this looks really clear and great. I'm going to enjoy this even more tonight. But there's another twist to the tale, because when I got to the scene with the three campers and the girl gets the pipe through her and then it gets lifted up through her collarbone, all of the great gore in that scene had been taken out. Even the sex before the kill had been trimmed. I mean, the whole scene has had a Part 7 job done on it, and I wasn't happy. And I thought to myself, what is going on here? So I went online and did some research. It turns out that there is a theatrical cut of Jason Goes to Hell, and there is an uncut version. And it turns out all these years, I've had the uncut version and not even realised. So I don't know what I'm going to do in the future. Am I just going to watch my horribly letterboxed version of the uncut version, or a really slick HD version of the theatrical? I don't know. As far as I'm aware, the recent Scream Factory release has both versions, but it's a bit annoying that Amazon Prime choose the theatrical version. I mean, why in 2021 when they can just pick the goriest version available? Anyway, while we're on the subject of that camping scene, that probably has the best thing in this film, because that kill, as long as you're watching the proper version, it's a brilliant kill. I mean, it's top 5 in this series for me. It's such a great moment when that thing goes up through the shoulder. It's absolutely fantastic. And as an amusing aside, and let me know what you think about this, the girl who dies outside the tent, she reminds me so much of the actress Deborah Ann Woll from the recent Escape Room films and also the Daredevil TV series. Next time you watch Jason Goes to Hell, keep an eye out for that and let me know what you think. I must say, I don't mind the body swapping stuff in this film. I mean, this is Part 9. Things have started to go stale in this series around about Part 7, in my opinion. I think we needed the part 8 that we got and this film and part 10 just to keep things fresh. If I do have issues with Jason Goes to Hell, it's more in the lack of logic in certain things to do with the story rather than the actual body swapping or anything to do with that. So in the beginning, there's this scene where the FBI try and take Jason down, but even though it's fun to watch, Jason getting blown to bits, the scene just doesn't stand up, because how does the FBI know that Jason is in this house? And even if their information is correct, which it is, why do they think sending in a female agent to flush him out is a good idea? I mean, 99 times out of 100, she's going to get killed doing that. And the fact that she gets out this time is only because the plot demands it. So obviously the FBI know how dangerous Jason is, hence why they brought so many guys and they're so armed to the teeth. But then why wouldn't they just storm the house? Why this elaborate thing with the female agent? And once she gets outside, she clearly knows which way it is to the clearing where the trap is. So she must have therefore scouted out this area in daylight with her FBI chums. There must have been a degree of reconnaissance. There must have been a practice run. Presumably Jason didn't turn up when they were doing this. So why do they think he's suddenly going to be there on the actual night? I mean, did they just find a note from him saying, look guys, these woods aren't big enough for all of us, so tonight, 10 o'clock, the old woodsman's house, be there and we'll sort this out once and for all. And no class 4 weapons, that wouldn't be fair. Obviously he's not going to do that. So the whole opening segment for me just doesn't make any sense. It's totally stupid. Then we get on to Creighton Duke. Now, there's so much about this guy who is a mystery. He is very well played by Steven Williams. I think that's why a lot of people do like this character, even though they don't like the movie, possibly. But how does he know so much stuff about resurrection and body swapping? It's never explained. The only thing that I can think of that would explain this is that maybe Creighton knew Jason's parents in the past. Maybe as a group they researched loads of stuff about black magic, and that's how Jason was able to be reborn from the lake and turn into a man. And in doing this, Creighton could have acquired all this knowledge about how to put Jason down if needs be. I don't know. I almost feel like there should have been a comic that came out at the same time as this movie showing this backstory with Creighton and Jason's parents. But as it is, the movie just leaves you hanging. I mean, it tells you nothing about how Creighton knows all this stuff. And on a different note, why is it that he gets himself arrested in the diner, so he has to spend most of the movie in a jail cell? I mean, he's here in Crystal Lake to take down Jason, so why get himself arrested? It feels like he's doing that deliberately. And the only explanation for that I can give is that Adam Marcus needed him out of the plot for a while so the story could concentrate on Stephen and Jessica. I do like Stephen as a main character. As I've already alluded to, he does feel very different from what you normally get in these movies. It doesn't feel like he's a natural hero. It constantly seems like he's having to reach down deep inside to find his inner bravery. But for the most part, he comes up trumps every single time. I like him a lot better than his ex-girlfriend Jessica. She doesn't turn up for at least the first half an hour, and when she does, they do something different with her hair in so many scenes. So I'm constantly wondering if I'm looking at the same girl I was looking at 2 scenes ago. It's kind of weird. I like the Jason that we get in this, even though we only see him for a couple of scenes. This is probably my second favourite Jason look after the one we got in part 8. I like the way that the mask is kind of shrunken because it's burned, and the back of Jason's head looks great. It's all diseased and vegetable-y. I think Richard Brooker is still my favourite Jason when you factor in all the attributes that make a great Jason, but purely on looks, the Part 9 one scores really heavily for me, and like I said, it's my second favourite after Part 8. Unfortunately, I have to sort of segue into another negative here because Jason looks really out of sorts at the end of this film. He kills Creighton Duke in quite a brutal way, fine, but then he gets into this fight with Stephen, and at least a couple of times he grabs Stephen, he's got him, And normally at this point, he would sort of squeeze a guy's head like a melon, or twist his neck round, or gouge his eyes out, something. In other words, one dead Stephen. But that doesn't happen. Kane Hodder just kind of throws him 5 yards like he's playing with his 10-year-old son in the back garden or something. And he does this twice. Now, I like to think that maybe Jason is still a bit rusty, given that he's just been reborn. Maybe he's a bit like a sports star who just needs a few minutes to warm up to get back to his proper form. But the cynic in me says that the reason this is happening is because it's the finale. It needs to be a really big, dramatic fight that's not over too quickly. The other characters, apart from Stephen in this film, are pretty good, apart from maybe Jessica. I do like Jessica's mum, if that's who it's meant to be. She looks quite young to be her mum. But the absolute best female character in this film is the ginger barmaid, whose name I forget. She's awesome in this. I love the way that she chucks weapons in the air in slow motion. Like, I think she does it with like a big sharp pole or something in the diner as well. All those characters in the diner are so cool. This is where Adam Marcus shows his creativity again. I mean, pairing a 5-foot grey midget with this big woman, it's terrific stuff. I like that scene in the diner. It's sort of like Friday the 13th meets the Terminator. Some good stuff in the police station as well. All the kills and gore in this film, for the most part, are really fun to watch, with the stuff in the tent being the crowning moment of all. I also like the scene where the cop slowly melts because Jason doesn't need his body anymore. I like it when people melt in movies. I promise you I'm not sick or anything. My final positive for today, though, is the music. You know what, I'm going to try and sing this today, even at the risk of a copyright strike. I'll do it slightly out of kilter, just so the algorithm doesn't pick up on it. So there's like this beat that plays at the start of the movie, and possibly elsewhere as well. It goes something like, it's like a really kind of, like that. And at the start, the music plays over the credits, and then we switch to the film. And then just when you think, okay, the credits are done, we're on with the film, suddenly there's another credit out of nowhere. It's like, whoa. And it happens like 2 or 3 times. Just when you think the credits are completely done and dusted, there's one more. It makes me laugh every time I watch this film. But I think this is the last of the kind of old style Friday the 13th music. I think they'd modernized it a little bit by the time we get to part 10. But as a final musical thing for this era, it almost feels like a little bit of a piss take of the Friday the 13th music that's come before. So I guess it's time to sum up, and on the whole, I consider myself to be a fan of this movie. I know a lot of people aren't. I regularly see this film bottom of people's Friday the 13th rankings, or second bottom. This film seems to bring out really strong emotions in people in the same way that Rob Zombie's Halloween brings out strong emotions in certain Halloween fans. But I'm happy to be one of the exceptions to the rule today and give Jason Goes to Hell a somewhat positive review. I do think the film could have done with at least one more draft, possibly 2. It's easy for me to get an image in my head of Adam Marcus writing this film in a really fast way with his creativity flowing, but maybe his fingers were going too fast on the keys and he wasn't properly thinking things through. I can imagine him going to the studio with this script actually, and them not really reading all of it, and him saying, "Are you sure you don't want to read the whole thing first?" And they're like, "Oh no, you're all right. We've got a deadline to meet. Do you want to direct it as well?" "Oh, okay, yeah, sure." But I do enjoy this. I always look forward to it if I'm doing a Friday the 13th marathon. So let's go to the Bag of Terror and find out how that translates to a score. 1, 2, 3. 3.5 bloody axes out of 5. I think this film has done very well today, all things considered, and I will be back soon with a review for Jason 10. Until next time, cheerio, bye-bye.